Okay, so here we have a definition: minimum viable product. So, a minimum viable product is the simplest version of a product that can be released with just enough features to satisfy early customers and provide feedback for future development. The concept aims to reduce development costs and time while testing market demand. What it includes: core, core functionalities only, basic user experience, feedback mechanisms, value propositions. One thing that we might consider in the minimum viable product is the opportunity to give people, depending on the cost, is even either to just pay cost or to have it for free. One thing I would say, there is one concept that we call anchor. And basically what it means is that once you set up that price point in the mind of people, it's going to be very hard to move from that. So I would just recommend, be very careful of how you are, um, how you're doing this and how you're setting it. And again, it doesn't mean that you can't, like, there's some very, pretty amazing numbers in terms of what you can do even for lower uh product, like lower price ranges. um but it's going to depend a lot in what you want to do. So I just recommend that this is something to be aware of, particularly if you are doing something that people might get later into, why do I now need to pay? So you just want to be careful with that. But other than that, this is the intent, that it's very specific, very basic. Most people know that it's just a test, so it's not like you just want to have some validation and then move to the final version. um, and then in here, what I added is, it's going to be different of a minimum viable product if it's digital versus if it's physical. So, from my perspective, a physical product, you should really price it what you think you can price it later, even if it's a little bit premium. I think because it's going to be part of what you're testing. So it's different when you're testing a concept. So sometimes when we have a minimum viable product, and we have it, and it's, let's say, a software. So in the software, you want to know, if it's going to work, like things that you would need to pay anyways to have validated. For example, when you're developing an app or something like that, people need to make sure that every link is working, that there's no 404 errors or whatever that might be, that if I fill out a form, something is happening. I'm getting my information. I can reset my password. I was just talking with someone that they have this very thing that has been really taking off, that it's called Kids Strong for some, but they have an app, and the app is not great. For example, if a payment is not done and it's to redone, so it takes a lot effort from the person, and then from the people in the branch, to then redo the payments manually. So again, it's a great idea to having the app. It's so far it's not great. Now, they're not pretending that the app is going to do a lot, but there's a lot of ways to monetize that. So it's a minimum viable product because it's not even a product. It's part of what's making the rest of the, like, it's kind of like an experience, but it is a minimum. They launch it anyways, and they're starting to gather data, and they're starting to do it. So it's okay that it's not costing. I mean, of course, right now it doesn't have any value anyways, but even if it did, even if they added like how to keep your kid motivated into coming or whatever they might do, um, it's still valid, because probably they would need to pay a lot of money to have the app, by a developer, run one by one, versus by getting customer feedback, they can make those changes. So that it's going to be the same for you if you have any sort of digital product. Now, if you have a physical product, I would say that part of that price range, it's going to be something that you want to validate, that whatever that is, if it's the premium thing that you're paying, whatever. And how you are going to optimize what you're making is that, to begin, the production costs are going to be way higher. So right now, even let's say that you're going to sell, I don't know, personalized Adidas, and they're gonna be $250 each, but they're manual and they're, so it's I don't know, 250, $300, but it's gonna be something very craft type of thing. So you want it to be, you want to validate the price, but right now maybe you need to buy Adidas at retail, you need to do this, versus later, that once you know and you have a, like, you create a system, and let's say you have a way of putting, like, ordering in advance, whatever, like, and bulk doing it, like maybe you launch it once a month or something that allows you to create any type of bulk, then you get to improve your costs, right? So it's not necessarily that you're starting with no cost or low cost, to allow others to test. You're still having the price range, but potentially your cost is going to be way higher, so your margins are going to be lower. So so that would be there is one thing here that it's very true, and it's the changes to physical products. So I'm going to give an example for this one. In this one, a minimum viable product for me is, I do want to create some t-shirts, and I want to create some kits for kids, particularly, like things that they can do and they can sort, and they, either they paint. I want to create some glasses. And again, how is this a minimum viable product? So yeah, changes are harder, but I'm not going to mass produce them. I'm gonna develop the idea of them, and if people like them, and maybe it's going to be very, they're not going to be perfect, and they're going to be very homemade, uh, but as time goes, it's going to be better, right? For example, the t-shirts, I might create a few to have and show what they look like. Now those few are going to be developed by me, so they might have some sort of, might not look the perfect version of them, but I want to, and the rest I get to do just the mock-ups of them, so I don't need to produce them. And then I go and do them. And there are ways that it could be better, for example, right? Like the print on demand and things like that, that can help. Again, in there, the game is going to be more, what is the potential revenue, because the margins are going to be very, very slim. Um, so that's on minimum viable product. So you might want to consider, how could that look like for you? And again, in here, I just wanted to give you the definition. For example, for me, I do have a list of, as you remember here, I do have some ideas of products in the angles, but I haven't decided. I do not have yet, kind of like we need a Gantt chart, right? Like, we need to develop some things, and then we need to say, when am I going to launch? Because one thing I would suggest is, whatever you're going to be doing, at least have one per bucket. Let's say, in my case, if I'm going to be speaking to um, people in general, entrepreneurs and kids, I need to at least have one for each. So we're going to look at revenue streams very soon. Just, we have another thing before that. And in there, I'm going to show you, like, what do I mean by one of these products.